off you go. After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
Very good. Oh, you're into it, aren't you?
Sometimes it's hard to understand how you give your life away. I try to work it out, the end grows closer every day. I look into your eyes and see that there's another way. I know that you'll be round in just a while. Baby, I can't wait to see you smile. I'm starting to believe in all the things I turned away. Believing in the dream is getting harder every day. God will have his reasons if he takes your soul away. I'll pray that you'll be round in just a while. Baby, I can't wait to see you smile. Baby, I can't wait to see you smile. When I was younger and I started doing this, it wasn't so much something that I was just sort of fell into it, really. I went to a school that had nuns teaching there, and one of the nuns sort of took me under my wing, and my father, who was my main carer, my father put me into a private singing group that she had, and through that they pursued me into singing competitions and the like that. So that sort of happened when I was about probably 6. I first started properly pursuing this in about 1995, and it was here. I was inspired by places up here in the Darlinghurst area here where we are in Sydney, little bars and the nightlife. The nightlife in the 90s in Sydney, especially up here, was pretty crazy. There were a lot of, shall we say, entertainment venues for adults, But there was a great street vibe, and it just had a life about it. And sadly, that's now gone from here. But the street vibe that existed in the 90s and the 80s, and I was too young in the 70s. But my experience of it was just a magnet for myself, because it was like it was just another world.
Yeah.
You get a lot of who you are from your parents, and in my case, it was a love of music and a love of the inner city. And my heroes, a couple of my heroes in particular, used to, the back barns here, the back streets. These are all where the trendy clubs were, and it was just a place to be. Just over the throw you have Double Bay, where a lot of the big artists would stay when they would come to Sydney to tour, and it was just an inspirational place to be. So I did spend a lot of time up here. Yeah, but it was. I wouldn't say it was ever as dangerous as people make it out to be. If you look after yourself anywhere, I mean, I'm very lucky. I never got in any trouble up here, but it was certainly it was different.
So different eyes. Don't see that shit understand it, I would have ended up this way. It's hard to understand it, it's right my way. No longer deny it, 'cause you come as no surprise.
Was it escapism? Was music then this close escapism for you?
It probably was. It probably was. It's probably a bit of a fantasy world. But see, down here in the newsagent, I used to buy a lot of my magazines from here and come here and window shop all the cool, funky, punky clothes and
Music magazines, right?
yeah, music magazines. That's right. Thank viewers, music magazines, children. They're great. But you know, yes. Well, yes, we all experimented. But and even over here, just over in Oxford Street, it's the same sort of vibe, but in different sexuality. But the vibe was the same, and it was like you would see footage of people in London and things like that, and that's the closest thing we had to that lifestyle, that musical, cultural, arty thing that just is nowhere else in Sydney except here.
So, was it in the 90s, apart from music, was it a tribute act that you joined? What really got you going?
I started in clubs. I didn't go to the venues, so like the Australian Institute of Music or the James C's of the world or anything like that. I just didn't have the money. Nothing against those institutions, but I just didn't have the money to do that. I would love to have done that, and I think my father, God bless him, would have loved me to do that as well. But I'm actually really grateful for the journey I took following that, because I ended up in the clubs, and around the year 2000 is when I really peaked in that scene, because I was doing that, and then at the same time I started to enter the bigger competitions in Sydney, the bigger singing ones, places like Marrickville RSL Club.
And around 2000, we were getting, the first prize was in, $10,000-15,000. And that was just going stupid. And you've got to remember, this was all before Idol and all those shows on television. I actually said to Dally one time, we should get a TV station involved. And, because the club was there, the club was all set up, as you know, it had all the lights, everything. All they had to do was put in the cameras and record it. And we could have had that on television, 5-6 years before Idol or any of those shows. But he liked to control things, and it was his club, so he wanted to keep it simple. It was a missed opportunity, and I think anyway, for everyone. But anyway,
certainly, and before that all started, like before, as you say, before it was Australian Idol and things like that, that was one of the places to be in Sydney, wasn't it? Like as you said,
it was, yeah.
Professionals were coming down, and all the people who, it was a stage to be on. And they were really like, oh shit, what's this, and so that was great. So that was like my real peak. I was in many a big competition grand final. You don't win them. That's another story why you don't win them. But it's great. But you were making money still. You were getting paid. It was all part of that journey.
Yeah, and that's the way new artists were sort of found in Australia, wasn't it? Once everyone had stopped doing the rock thing and...
Unless you were signed for someone when you were younger, God forbid. That you didn't experience that. And I'm glad I experienced that. Like my heroes experienced that.
Yeah.
The inaccesses of the world and the cold chisels of the world that came from, not necessarily from here essentially, but they all played down the road here in Sydney every night of the week, down at Bondi, here.
They didn't have a choice.
All sorts, and that was how it was, and that's how they all got. Yeah. So you were sort of following the same path, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I had, and it was tough learning ground, but it became a time where I was considered more of a rock sort of singing person, so I sort of chose to leave that behind, and I started then to pursue songwriting properly, because I thought, well, I'd ended up doing that, and then on the way to pursuing songwriting, I actually ended up in a tribute act, and the tribute act was great, really good learning. We used to do tributes called Australian Made, so you're playing all those music of those people you loved,
Yeah.
and you're getting paid for it, and you're singing on the same bloody stages, and you don't have a manager. It's, yeah, and you don't have anybody telling you how to suck eggs.
Yeah.
Often, sometimes, not, but we do. Like I've sung on places like Dapto, down at Wollongong, Dapto Leagues Club, some really well-known rooms in the city here, and these are things you wouldn't get to do. So that was a great grounding as well, because you were out till 2 or 3 in the morning, singing bloody Cold Chisel and AC/DC and whatever else, and you were learning.
Yeah.
So you were getting paid to learn. So.
Also, it wasn't for exposure like everyone says now.
No. Exposure. So I wasn't the most confident person at all, and so you're sort of having this constant battle with yourself all the time. There's this personality of this crazy bloody singing person, and there's this sort of
Well, did that make
just sit
being
at home and watch Parky.
Did that make being an Australian Made a little bit easier, because you weren't necessarily Vincent Lamaro going on stage? You were the lead man of Cold Chisel and all this
All
sort of
that
stuff.
sort of
so
stuff.
you can,
Yeah, well, it was a pretend. You go up there and it was, but it was good because you got used to. It was good to. Like, I'd never done that before. I didn't tell them that, but I'd never done that before. I'd never sung in a band even before I did that band. So all of a sudden, I went from nothing to RSL clubs full of people.
Yeah.
And you have to learn really, really quickly. So what happened? And then one day, the cover band stopped, and the guy shut it down, who owned it, and I was sort of stranded in mid 2001 or 2002 that was, yes. And I sort of didn't have anywhere to go, and I was like, I didn't really know what I was going to do, but it was. I had a couple of light bulb moments with songwriting, and it was all because of a couple of people. One of them was my singing teacher, one of them was a songwriting guy that I had, and one of the guys I had met along the way, who just they put the belief in me that I wasn't actually dreaming, that I could actually do something with this. So so after 2002, I really started to kick some goals.
I heard you say you don't know the reason why. In spite of all my alibis, the sun came out again today, but you still see me cry. It's just the way I'm suffering, the way I try to hide from all my fears. It's not that I don't love you, loving makes me scared. Trapped inside a memory, trapped in my despair. Don't tell me it will be okay. The pain is gone, the fears will go away.
One thing that really kept me going all the way through it was that I knew, or I had this, you have to have this little bit of self-arrogance. Just don't tell anybody else. But you have to, because if you don't, you can't do it. It's just how that goes.
If I look a little fragile.
The year 2000 was very important to me. I was one of those kids who used to sit there and watch the Olympics, and I didn't want to go to the Olympics, but I certainly saw the quest for reaching something more. I had a lot of. I wasn't the most confident person at all, and so you're sort of having this constant battle with yourself all the time. Everybody has heroes. Everybody has people they like, people that look up to in anything, up work, whatever, anything. So, did I want to be like them? Probably. And the problem was that half of me thought they could do it, and half of me thought that they couldn't.
To get me through the day, I just need you around to get me through the day. Just need you around to get me through the day.
We spoke about work ethic before. So work ethic, that's what those words are, work ethic.
Ethical.
Which, you look back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, every band, especially Australian bands, had in spades, AC/DC, Cold Chisel, Excess, they had to tour in a bus, and by bus I mean like probably a combi van,
Well, people still
to go to pubs.
People still do that.
Yeah.
People still do that now, but unfortunately,
It's not possible in
it's
Sydney.
really hard in Sydney. It's a lot easier down south and probably in Melbourne, in Brisbane, places like that. But
Yeah.
it's just become. If you're doing that, I personally think if you're doing that, you're not doing it anymore for making a living. You're just doing it for your own fulfillment and enjoyment of playing music. And at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it, just don't do it. And if you're in this, and I never ever thought I would say this, but if you are in this business to be a star, just stay on the couch. Don't worry about it. Go and play the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's just not to be negative. It's just it's difficult.
It's realistic.
Yeah.
It's realistic.
Yeah.
When you look when you look at the world market of music, it's dominated by America. So if you're trying to be the star in Australia, you're still missing.
But But see, that was my goal. My goal was never to be
Star.
well, in the back of your mind, you think you'd all like to be, but you see what that entails.
Well, was songwriting sort of born of music?
I knew if I was going to do something with it, I'd have to be able to write songs. Some of my heroes are people like Billy Joel, In Excess, U2, very big Richard Marx. Sorry about that. Richard Marx was a bit of a hero. I never had his hair cut. It's great, but he was a hero. So these guys were like having these massive careers, and you could see the pathway, but I just didn't know what the pathway was. So songwriting is something that really came for me way after, into my 20s. I didn't really start doing it properly.
Yeah.
And that's just, there's no method to doing that. It's just, you write what comes out of you, and I learned that from a couple of people that I dealt with when I was formatively trying to do this as a career, and you just write from your own experiences. And that, I always sort of been a solo act. In 1999, I used to play all one-man show gigs wherever I could, but I knew eventually that for me to go any further, I had to get someone who I could gel with to actually write songs with. As soon as I met Parrish, everything was just sort of clicked. Describe to me, what does it mean to you to be an artist?
Sentiment is one thing that a lot of artists do. I try and be, if I were doing my own thing, be almost anti-sentimental.
protected by a false shade of light. Look me in the eye.
I don't know. Look, some things just click and or they don't. We did a session for Sir John Rawls. I'd never met you, but he brought you along to the session to sing backing vocals, and I heard your voice and I heard your range and everything like that, and I thought, oh my gosh, okay, cool. And then you gave me a lift home and you played me some of your demos in your car, and I just thought, okay, there's something here that I like, and offered to work with you.
I think it might be great if we all go blind. We're the kind that's protected by a false shade of light. Look me in the eye without the lenses on. We're the kind that's infected from the first stage of life. Look me in the eye without the lenses.
Like, let's face it, Elton had Bernie, you've got McCartney and Lennon.
Yeah,
All that
that's
sort of-
true, but it wasn't a sort of a Batman and Robin mentality to that, where you're gonna be Batman and Robin. Like we weren't sort of, like, Parish really grounded me, because all I'd ever seen were these pop stars playing the entertainment centre and things like that. I didn't really think there was much of a career in playing anything underneath that, and the pathway to that I didn't really see. So one thing I have got from him is the pathway or learned from him is the pathway of what it actually means to be a musician.
What does legacy mean to you?
Legacy is something that goes on for a long time after, say, a person is maybe deceased, and other people.
Are you living your life? Do you still feel the same way? Do you remember a time the ending wasn't the same? Are you enjoying your life, giving it all that you got? Will you still be happy when the music has stopped? Is this a life? Everything you wanted. Is this life all that you believe? Do you believe in your dreams? Find time to enjoy every day. Told you that I still need you. Do you still feel the same way? Are you feeling tied down, like you're all on your own? Will you still be happy when you're no longer alone? This is life, everything you wanted. Is this life all that you like you're all on your own. Will you still be happy when you're no longer alone? Is this a lie? Everything you wanted. Is this life all that you believe? Is this life everything you wanted? Is this life all that you believe? Give yourself a reason to breathe.
I had this fierce belief that something would happen, but this, if I just kept going, that something would happen. But this is just beyond. Paul, this is insane.
Seems like forever since I looked into your eyes. I couldn't find a reason for myself to compromise. In time I'll find the answer and be with you, my friend. I can't wait till you come my way again. I can't explain whenever I remember your smile. My heart's guilty of treason.
I remember attending the closing ceremony of the 2000 Olympic Games, and I went to a part of the park there, and I sat on this hill and romantically gazed into the moonlight and thought to myself, right, within 4 years I'll be, by the time the next Olympics is on, I'll actually have an album ready to go. And I had no idea how that would unfold or what pathway. What ended up happening was that I got a job in retail liquor in the end of 2001, and I met a very famous New Zealand singer called John Rolls. John's kind of like Engelbert Humperdinck in New Zealand. Great, really successful guy, played Vegas when he was like 19, did showrooms and stuff, so amazing. The guys to shop in my store used to buy wine from me. And somebody in the shop said to me one day that I need to send him, I need to give him one of my demo things that I had. So I said, oh, okay. I thought I didn't know who he was.
So you had no idea who he
No,
was
I
at the
thought he
time?
was an Elvis impersonator. No idea. So I really did. So anyway, so this guy John's come in, and it's true what they say, because at the same time as I was doing that, just on the side, I used to go to a lot of industry events and speak to people, managers, and meet people, and that's the thing. And the constant thing they said to me was, if we want you, we will stand in the front of your garden and pick the roses out until you come outside at 3 in the morning. We want you. If you're the one we want to work with, that will happen. Sure enough, I gave John this thing, tape, demo tape, CD. He rang me from the Gold Coast about 3 days later in this very deep voice. He said he wanted me to come to his friend's house to sing backup with him on a song. And so I listened to great. I had no idea who this guy was. Silly me. Not much internet then, kids. And I just was oblivious. I had no idea. So So I've went over to this guy's house, and the gentleman who opened the door at the house ended up being a wonderful man by the name of Larry Mahobro, who has had a career in the music industry that you would not even want to imagine. Yeah. So I was all of a sudden thrust into this world. I've gone from nowhere to shit. Here we go. This is something that's going on here. So I started to work with this gentleman's son, Parish, and by the end of 2004, I actually did have that album.
So you had achieved the goal that you set out for?
I did. I was amazed that that even happened, really, when you look back at it. So, let's have a break from there. Let's just review what we have.
Victoria and Belgravia, and then we're going to be stopping at Buckingham Palace. Now on the left here.
I've wandered around this town for years, searching for my soul. Someone to walk along with me, a hand that I can hold. I never dreamed at the beginning it would all turn out this way. Now I'm standing here before you, feeling every breath you take. If you don't believe in miracles, look into my eyes. If you see a shooting star tonight, it cannot be denied. You came out of the darkness like an angel from above. It was the day that I found you, I found love. So many times, so many fears, I turned and ran away. I found the place my heart belongs. Beside you I shall stay. You were all that I've been searching for. My heart belongs to you. I need you here beside me. All my dreams now have come true. If you don't believe in miracles, look into my eyes. If you see a shooting star tonight, it cannot be denied. You came out of the darkness and like an angel from above.
if you end up being Jimmy Barnes, that's not up to you anyway. It's not up to the record company guy. It's up to something out there, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was never a goal of mine to do. My goal ultimately was to become a professional singer, which I did.
Yeah.
But the problem is with that, once you get to the top of one mountain, there's all these other mountains in front of you.
Yeah.
And those mountains are quite attractive.
Yes, indeed they are.
I think at the end of the day, you owe yourself a debt of gratitude for having the balls to follow this. And also to the people who supported you, the people who believed you, and the people who were just as crazy as you to believe you could actually do something with it. My mother and I never really had the relationship we wanted to have until right at the end of her life. She heard all the music and would walk around telling everybody about this one particular song that she liked. She went through a lot in her life, and I'd like to think we're all each other's heroes. She was certainly one of mine.
Don't think I could have planned it, I knew it would have ended up this way. Took so long to understand it, and for me to find my way. Can no longer deny it, it should come as no surprise that today I see the world through different eyes. You always try to find.
Hey, Mr. Tell me, Vincent, this musical career of yours, was it ever something you believed would happen?
What's that fucking kid?
Yes.
I was born to try.
Now I hope you see